Hi, everyone. This is Reverend Dr. Katie, and I'm so happy to welcome to give us some expert advice and recommendations during this time of COVID-19 while we're all in social distancing and in the middle of this epidemic. And I'm here to welcome Cassie Soule. Hey, Cassie, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, and I'm so happy to be here and just blessed that you asked me to be a part of this today.
This is so exciting. And Cassie is one of our founding members of the Metaphysical Christian. And if you happen to be watching this on another platform, come on and join us. This is a great time. You're all at home. You might as well come and get some tidbits for living, living your life with metaphysics and being a Jesus follower, which is what we do. So Cassie was one of the very early members of this group, and we've been communicating on and off for 2.5 years, somewhere in there. And waiting for the right time to do this collaboration, and it has arrived. So I'm so happy. So Cassie, tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here and what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, being a part of the Christian Metaphysical Group, I am an absolute follower, lover of Jesus. I'm a clergy spouse, so we've been ministering to families and sharing Jesus's word for many, many years. I've been teaching about herbalism, natural health, aromatherapy, and essential oils for it's been over 9 years now. And I come at it from a little bit of a different perspective, in that I appreciate the traditional mindset of herbalism, but I really look at it more from the evidence-based perspective.
Nice.
So, we don't want to turn our families into guinea pigs. So
right.
I like to know what's safe and what really, really works, even in the natural health world. And then I'm a health coach as well. My certifications are as a clinical master herbalist. I have several different certifications in aromatherapy and aromatic medicine, as well as one that's called holistic wellness professional, which is basically like a traditional naturopathic doctor. But because I received all of my herbal and natural health education in Tennessee, we can't call it a naturopath because naturopathy is not actually legal in the state of Tennessee.
Okay.
But it's the equivalent kind of training.
Equivalent. Great. And yeah, so neither Cassie nor myself are medical doctors, so we're not here to offer specific how-tos, but we're here to offer support. Cassie is here to offer support. I'm along for the ride and here to learn too. As we're all in this new reality, as we're creating a new normal during this time of social distancing, and we want everyone to be as safe as possible. And we have these beautiful tools that God has given us through the earth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that you're actually part of the earth. We're all made of stardust and earth dust, and we're all in this beautiful relationship with the earth. And one of the really cool things, side effects of the social distancing, is we see the earth beginning to recover. All the dolphins and the swans are returning to the Venice canals. We're giving the earth this huge breath, and I hope that we can continue that after this time too. And and my own journey with oils too. I've been using essential oils, again, evidence-based as much as possible for the past 5 or 6 years. And it was funny, before social distancing began, someone came into my house. It was like a Comcast person or something like that. I can't remember who. But they said, "You have a lot of nail polish." And I said, that's not nail polish. Those are essential oils. They're in a nail polish rack. So they're in every room of my house. So yeah, well, one of the important things I think we're talking about right now, especially as people are learning new ways to nurture themselves at home, is really fostering the mind, body, spirit connection. So talk to us a little bit about that. How does your work support that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, one of the things that I taught a lot early on was that stress response thing, and how our mind and our bodies are connected. And even the World Health Organization, who we've heard a lot about recently, they talk about how overall health is not just the absence of disease, but it's that wholeness between mind, body, and even spirit. They're all connected as one. So what I like to look at is, when we have stressors in our lives, they get filtered through our mind first, through our experiences of the past, they can create stress on the body, but how we deal with that mentally and spiritually can reduce those physical effects. Whether it's through meditation and prayer, spending time outside, anything that's going to help bring our body into harmony is going to help all three of that, that sort of triad of mind, body, spirit.
I love that. And so, yeah, let's talk a little bit about the specifics that may help us do that. Do you have any recommendations for reducing that stress?
Yesterday I posted something, or last night, on my Facebook page about some of the things that I'm doing right now. And it isn't, and we'll talk about herbs, I think, in a little while, but really I'm focusing on my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
This is so new. There are so many changes and there are so many unknowns that we can't, it's hard to know what to do. And one of the things that I have found that has really blessed me in my mental health journey is making sure that I take care of myself. And that's really hard. I'm sure we have lots of moms in the metaphysical group, I know. And it's hard for us to take that time to think, okay, I have to put the oxygen mask on me first, so that I can help other people. So for me, those are things like, I'm drinking herbal tea right now. You can go outside, drink your coffee or your tea in the morning, take those deep morning refreshing breaths before you start your day. I have a meditation app that I love. And all of these things that help us with our breath really brings down our blood pressure, because that affects everything in our body and that stress response. If we can keep our blood pressure down by exercise, meditation, then it helps balance everything else out. All of those, the adrenaline and the cortisol hormones that we don't want, that cause that physical damage in the body and creates imbalance. So those are a couple of my favorite ones. And I know you talk about this a lot. As far as music and prayer and meditation and bringing awareness to breath is so very important and vital.
I love that. And I love it that these surface over and over and over. So they surface over and over and over for a reason.
Yes.
Like, they're time tested. Your breath is always with you, whether there's an epidemic or not. And you can always use it to calm down the parasympathetic nervous system. And I know when that's all inflamed, so to speak, kind of metaphorically, that we're unable to hear the spirit in the deepest way possible.
Right. Because what happens when we fall into that stress response is that the amygdala starts screaming, that part of our bodies that are that fight or flight. So by calming that area, then we can think creatively again. And yes, we can definitely connect much more easily with spirit.
Yes, I love that. And the amygdala is part of the brain for anyone who's not into neuroscience. I don't know which part of the brain, though. Do you know where it is in the brain structure?
It's at the back, sort of at the brain stem.
Great. It's whenever I see the pictures of the brain, I love neuroscience, but I kind of think free page and turn the page, because I don't know the structure that well. Well, yeah. So you are an herbalist. Wait, what was your title? Master
Clinical herbalist.
Clinical herbalist, MCH, and Doctor of Neuropathy and everything but a Tennessee state title. And so tell us some of the herbs and oils that we can use during this time of epidemic.
Yeah. So again, I really want to stress that the best thing to do from the herbalist side of things right now is to focus again on that mental health. Because with COVID being a novel virus, it's brand new. No one's had this before. So we, from the clinical side of things, the research evidence-based side of things, we don't know what's going to work. They're quickly finding that some of the things that typically work for flu are causing more harm then good. So we can't assume that everything herbally that we might do for a cold or flu is going to work for the coronavirus. It just has a very different makeup. It works very differently in the body. And so it's really better to focus on more of those stress response in order to keep the body functioning as normally and as balanced as possible. So what I'm doing, there's an herbal classification in herbalism called adaptogens. And what these herbs do is they have a non-specific response on the body. So they don't focus on one area. It's all about helping your body normalize during stress so you can adapt to that stress. So this also helps with your focus and your mental health, all of that. So a lot of these you might be familiar with, even if you don't know that they're part of this adaptogen category. Rhodiola is one, ashwagandha is one. Some of us use astragalus, especially if you're familiar with any kind of Chinese medicine. Astragalus is very common. So all of those can really help bring down that stress response. As far as, and other things that are going to be calming. So we know chamomile is calming, lemon balm is calming, and teas are very, very safe. We call it culinary medicine because it's more like food. So you can also add things like garlic into your food, ginger. Those help balance the body. They have lots of different actions within the body, but they're highly anti-inflammatory. So that's why I'm drinking tea right now.
What kind are you drinking?
This is one of the sleepy time teas. But it doesn't actually, it has licorice and spearmint and, oh shoot, I knew you were going to ask me and I should have thought.
That's okay.
It doesn't actually have anything in it that's going to like make you sleepy.
Right.
But it has these really great kind of calming herbs in them that are good for overall health. So I like traditional medicinals. I like yogi teas. So they're really good for just basic supportive botanical medicine that's really, really safe.
Great. So even in reducing 1 cup of coffee, 1 cup of caffeinated tea for one of these blends.
Yes.
Will be supportive.
Well, and I even talk to my health coach clients about, we want to make sure that we drink lots of water. That's the other thing that's really important right now is that we're hydrating and taking care of our bodies in that way. I found myself extremely anxious yesterday at about 1 o'clock, and I realized I'd had no water the entire day. I'd been so busy with trying to build structure in my house for my children, and getting my job done and all of that I'd had no water. So when I talk to my clients about making sure that you're hydrated, I include herbal teas in that because they don't have the diuretic effects that caffeine does. So, yes, definitely. If you can take one of those cups of coffee out, you will find that you're calmer, more able to, you might get more tired if you need that caffeine. Better for your immune system and for your adrenal system overall.
Right. So let's talk just for a minute about some of the things that work for the flu or a cold that we should avoid if someone suspects that they may have the COVID-19 novel coronavirus. There's so many names for this now.
Right.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of people rushing out to buy things that work for the flu because initially we were told keep those on stock. And we're finding new things out all the time. Right.
So one of the things that isn't herbally based that they have recently found out are NSAIDs. So ibuprofen, Aleve, anything there, Tylenol, and I don't like Tylenol, but that is one of the things that they're saying to use instead of. Sometimes we have to weigh the risks and benefits as far as any pharmaceutical medication or herbal remedy. So, not using ibuprofen because that seems to actually create a worse inflammatory response.
Right.
And then the other big one in herbal medicine right now, and it's very controversial actually. Herbalists are not agreeing about this. So, when I say this, I'm not telling you what to do or what not to do. This is just offering information to empower you to be able to make the best decisions that you can. What we know about elderberry in several different scientific studies is that it inactivates and stops the replication of the flu virus. Unfortunately, again, COVID is not in the influenza family. So there's a concern that because of the way that elderberry boosts the immune system and stops that inactivation, is that it causes an inflammatory response in the body that we do not want to happen. COVID is creating that same type of response, and so if we exacerbate it with the use of elderberry, then it could make things even worse. And again, we don't know for certain that elderberry is acting that way, but we have to weigh the risks and benefits as far as whether its use is called for.
Right. And this is one of the unknowns where this is the times, the particular time we're living in. So we just want to get, like you said, give everyone the information that they need to make their own best decision. And so, a rush on elderberry is not necessarily needed right now. And keep in mind that the early symptoms of COVID-19 and the flu are similar.
They are.
So it's really important to get tested. And it just occurred to me, you could have both at once.
You could, and I don't know how we combat that.
I don't either. Tylenol, I guess, right now is our. So we're stay social distance, and you won't get either one. We practice that. And do you have any other recommendations of what we can do for our bodies at this time? Any practices that may be helpful from an herbalist, mental health, anything?
Yeah, well, we haven't talked about aromatherapy very much, so let me just hit that real fast, and then I have one other thing that I love to talk to people about. So with aromatherapy, any of our calming essential oils are going to be excellent right now. So whatever your favorites are, from chamomile to lavender, bergamot is a favorite in my family. I love that citrusy smell, and it has the same actions that lavender does as far as bringing about a calming spirit. There's a lot of talk about, sanitizers and hand sanitizers, and I will say this: the best mechanism is the alcohol. And so we know that 60 to 65% or higher seems to be effective against the coronavirus. So with that, you can add some essential oils to your, to the alcohol if you wanted to use that, or, you're kind of in that desperate place and you got to have something. But use them sparingly, because with as effective as the alcohol is, you don't really need to add any antiviral essential oils in order to deactivate the viruses. If you don't want it to smell like isopropyl, if you don't want it to smell like, vodka PGA, if that's what you're able to find and use, certainly add it to create that calming scent. Before they kind of put the social distancing and more severely in place, my sister-in-law and I went out shopping, and so we got in the car and I was spraying my hands after we'd been in a store, and she was like, "Oh, that smells so good," and so I sprayed her hands down, and so it kind of had that double duty effect of calming and just having a pleasant scent about it. But we really don't need to use our essential oils specifically for those antimicrobial effects when alcohol is the main base for our sanitizers.
And this is for when we don't have access to soap and water.
Exactly, because soap and water is the best medium for getting rid of those microbes off of our hands. And even if you don't have soap, they found that there has been a study that shows that even just that water and friction does have benefit. So, even if you've run out of soap, hand that water to wash those buggers away. That I have for us really is hydrotherapy. When we look in the Bible at healing, things that Jesus used and that God used for our healing, you see water a lot of the time. Go bathe in the water and you will be healed. We know that one of my sons did a project on the Dead Sea not too long ago.
Mm.
And we know that people go specifically to the Dead Sea for the relaxation of it, for the healing properties of the water and the salt. And so hydrotherapy is any therapy that has to do with water. So whether it's soaking your feet in Epsom salts or taking a bath without anything, you can add salts. You can, bath salts are wonderful, but it doesn't even have to be that, because the warmth helps with your circulation. It helps bring your blood pressure down. There's so many health benefits to water. If you're in a place that's warm enough to get in the pool and swim, go for it. Social distancing, but
Right. Yes.
drinking water is considered a hydrotherapy. So anything that has to do with water is a perfect way to take care of yourself, to take care of your mind, and just enjoy time with God.
I love that. And you just reminded me, I'd forgotten it until just now. I had a great dream last night about water slides. So even in my dream state, I was having hydrotherapy.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. I love that.
One other thing that we didn't really talk about was intention. That is a very metaphysical thing. And when we pray believing, there's intention going into that. So when I make medicine, when I take medicine, when I'm cooking, there's always that intention of creating something for a healing purpose, whether it's for the mind, body, or the spirit. So that's, when we use that prayer mechanism with intention, God hears that, he sees that, he feels that, and he wants to bless us in all of those ways when we are focusing on the spirit and on the divine. So
yes, I love that. And so I have these little like chakra sprays that I make with essential oils. And as I'm making them and as they're sitting around my house, there's a lot of intention.
Absolutely.
That goes into that. And so that's so important in our vibration. It's one of the words we use a lot, our vibration, how that circulates and offers our intentions to God and comes back to us is all part of it. So it's very natural and normal to pray and set intentions when we are feeling stressed, and that's okay. But I really encourage everyone to do this even more after you've calmed down your system with all these tools that Cassie has mentioned. So these are all available to anyone, all of us where we are. Maybe one last question. What's the best place for people to get herbs or oils?
That's a great question. Sometimes it depends on which herbs we're looking for.
Okay.
If you like to make your own medicines or want to learn how to do that, I like to get bulk herbs. And so my go-to place there is Mountain Rose Herbs in the Pacific your side of the country.
Over here, yes.
Over there. They have fabulous, high quality, sustainably harvested and produced bulk herbs, as well as lots of other herby project ingredients. They are one of my favorites, and I've used them for years and years and years. As far as supplements go, I really like Gaia herbs. They're kind of my go-to. I also like New Chapter Organics. They have really good products. For something specific, which I didn't actually talk about, and I had intended to a little bit, is CBD. CBD is everywhere. So we have, just like anything else in herbalism, we have to be really careful about, quality. Nothing is watched over very well by the FDA, which has its benefits and it has its cons.
Right.
But for CBD, I'm a HempWorks user. I just put it out there. I am a distributor for them. So that it's one of my side hustles, but it fits into the healing that I love. So, one of the things that they found with CBD is that in clinical studies, it does reduce anxiety, the calming effects that it has is really important. I took an extra dose right before we hopped on here
Okay.
today.
And CBD is different than THC.
Yes. And I know some states, the laws are a little kind of wonky right now, but the hemp plant creates both THC and CBD. So you can get CBD only products. There are some that have that legal tiny little bit of THC that creates a synergistic effect within the products. So we can talk about that another time. If anybody has questions about that, then I can help you with the details about that.
Yes.
So as far as essential oils go, there are lots of great brands out there. I've typically gotten a lot of mine from Europe, just because that's where I was trained in my aromatic medicine and aromatherapy certifications, was in England. But in the States, Tropical Traditions they carry Floriana, which is a really good essential oil. Oh shoot, my brain just stopped. Plant Therapy is another really good one that a lot of people use here in the States. So those are two of my favorites that are easy to get here.
Great. And when I'm working with people and I give my clients my chakra oils, and so then I give a little education on where to purchase. Y'all, don't go to your local corner store and buy lavender for $5.99. It will be really bad quality. It will have a lot of it won't be 100% pure oil. So really, really just take your time and do your research on where you source.
Yes, there's a lot of adulteration and mislabeling of essential oils in the United States. It's a real problem. So
if you think it's too cheap, it is.
Right.
That's my rule. Like, if you think this is like a great price, you probably should not buy it. And y'all, you only need like a little bit at a time. A bottle is going to last you quite a long while.
Yeah. A lot of the times in herbalism, we find that microdosing is sometimes much more effective than, we have this mentality that more is better. And that's not always the case.
Yeah, and one of the things I love about your approach is that we're really treating all of these tools, the plants, as a relationship, like we're in a relationship with them, and that this is not magic. So I think a lot of people, what I kind of sense from a lot of people sometimes, they're like, well, isn't there an essential oil where if I just dump it over my head, life will be perfect? But no, we have to combine it with our intention, with all the ways to keep healthy. So I love that your approach really incorporates all of that, mind, body, and spirit.
Thank you.
Cassie, tell us where we can find you if people want to find you, if they have questions, if they want to be in touch with you for their own health.
Absolutely. I have a Facebook page called Soule Apothecary, Soul with an E, so it's SOULE. And then my email address is souleapothecary@gmail.com. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me in either of those places.
I love that. Thank you so much for joining us. And as new information becomes available, I may tap Cassie again to come back on, and we can talk about any updates as new things develop for keeping everyone as healthy as possible.
Very good.
Awesome. Thank you for being here.
You are very welcome. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.